right, ladies and gentlemen, you're about to enter into the fabulous world of equations. The book up until this point has told you to solve them by inspection, which means you just basically look at them and figure them out. No longer, children, no longer, please don't say that. No longer will you do that. It is no longer by inspection. No more inspection business. You will need to write these problems out and do it as I say. And for that, you just have to, the reason they do that is because you can actually see why we do what we do here, okay? And what this says is, the book says you are going to use what's called properties of equality to solve them. And here's the basic gist of it. It is not a complicated sort of thing, okay? If you have an equation, and I'm going to do a simple equation, 18 equals 18. That's pretty simple, isn't it? Nothing left to doubt there. The properties of equality tell you this, okay? When it comes to with multiplication, division, addition, and subtraction, you can do the same thing to both sides and still have a true equation. I'll let you write that down, and then we'll talk about how that's going to sink into you. You can do the same thing to both sides of an equation and still have a true equation. Let me try, watch this. I just learned I can probably do this. Notice how that word have is very bad? Watch. I am going to adjust. Wow, this is something I never thought about doing before. What's wrong with the word have? There's an A, it should have a little dot in the middle of it. Apparently I can't do just a little of it. H, A, maybe I can just do this. Let's erase. That doesn't seem quite right. Let's make it just a little smaller. Okay, which means this, if you wrote that down there. Going back to my simple little equation, that means this. And you get to pick whatever number you want. For example, I can add 6 to both sides of my equation, and guess what I get? I get a true equation. 24 does equal 24. I can, 18 equals 18. I can divide both sides by 6 and still have a true equation. 3 equals 3. I can add 2 to both sides and still have a true equation, 20 equals 20. I can subtract 5 from both sides and still have a true equation, 13 equals 13. Okay? Because what's going to happen is this. You're going to be given an equation. Let's see what equation. Let's find a good equation here. X minus, well, let's start with an easy one. X minus 8 equals 30. Now, when it comes to equations, here is key. Here is key. Think opposite. Okay? And by that I mean this. What sign do you see with this equation? You see a subtraction sign. You need to solve this, you think the opposite of subtraction. okay, which is addition. Now, when you solved it by inspection, Tyler, you said what number when you subtract 8 from it gives you 30?
30.
What number is it?
38.
And how did you get that? Well, you added 8 to 30. But now, when you see this, it's no longer by inspection. You're going to have to write this down, and you just do this. You think opposite? The opposite of subtracting 8 is adding 8, and you need to do that to both sides. Okay? Because when you have a minus 8 and a plus 8, they cross each other out. Because 8 minus 8, negative 8, positive 8 gives you nothing. You're left with the x, which is what you want, and 30 plus 8 is 38. And it works the same whether you're multiplying, adding, subtracting, or dividing. 3x equals, I don't know, 45. If you see an equation like that, the first thing you should think about is, what type of equation is this? 3 times x is 45, so to solve it, I am going to, opposite of timesing, dividing. And you need to show that by doing this. 3 divided by 3, do it in fraction form, because that'll make it cross off. And then 45 divided by 3, either you can do that or you can't, you might have to do it off to the side, but the answer is 15. Or maybe it is 78, I'm sorry, let me do that. X plus 78 is 1,000. No longer do you have to try in your head think about this, that, or the other thing because it's kind of rote. Opposite of addition is
Subtraction.
so you are going to subtract. You want to get the letter x by itself, so you subtract 78 and you subtract 78. This goes away. You're left with 922.
Oh, sorry to interrupt, Mr. Hahn.
There's never interruption with you, Josh. Come on in. Kids were expecting you.
How y'all doing? The eighth graders over there saying we don't do proper PE.
What is proper PE?
You guys have pull parties in the gym, but none of them said they could do pulls.
Well, you know, that was put there for Doc Shoot for track practice.
Ah.
But we could. Would you like, I should have you, would you want to come in and give them a day in the life of boot camp?
You know, I could possibly do something.
Of course,
like
we'd have to keep it on the G level, not probably all the stuff that goes on.
that. Are these the sixth graders?
7.
Oh, 7.
Yeah.
Oh, this is the only class I haven't talked to.
Can you talk a little
Wait.
bit? We're in the last class today.
Wait, because your mom's having you chat about, that's
I don't want to
interesting.
interrupt this very important matter.
Just about.
Actually, you know, I can tell you some of that.
Yeah, I'm sure you could. Are you talking just about life in the,
Hey, yeah, I was
Service
just
or-
answering just like a little Q&A questions about military life and
what's the
what
best
we eat was probably the most asked question. But
3 squares a day? Nothing but those, whatever those rations are that you have to mix with water.
none of the eighth graders know what they want to do yet, so you know the whole pay for your
Wait, are you
college.
recruiting people too now?
I was trying, but it's not really working.
Yeah, I don't know how many of these people would make good, I can tell you what, there's a 5th grader. Have you talked to the little Swiget Brummel boy?
That's what I just talked to. I think he just gave me a piece of his fan actually.
Aiden did? I'm sure he
Yeah,
did.
that had to be him.
That would be him.
Piece of the ceiling fan.
He's dressed in his fatigues, yes?
Yes.
And he wants to be called YM, which is Young Marine.
Ah.
And I can tell you, Josh, if ever I wanted a guy defending my country, he'd be one of them.
He's a little he's got some attitude on him, that's for sure.
Well, I gave him, I sent him home a ball cart that somebody broken the legs off and asked him to fix it, and he welded it for me.
What's that?
He welded a ball cart for me.
A ball cart?
Yeah, like
Really?
one of those ones that just had ball
Yeah.
and scooted around. I said, here, Abe, take that home. And he goes, okay, I'll do it.
Hey, he did or his dad? His
I-
dad's an ex-marine, that's probably.
I actually believe he did, because
I think his dad was a grunt though. He doesn't seem on that.
there's no such thing as a grunt. Everybody does.
Well, no, I mean, if you do infantry, you are. If you do supply like me, it's a 9-to-5 job,
Yeah, see,
like what
there's
you're doing.
like the cake jobs. Yeah, we all have the cake jobs.
I mean, we support those guys, that's our job. But we get to go home every night, sleep in bed.
I actually don't know what he did.
I don't know you didn't say. Failed to mention that. Alright, well, I will stop interrupting class.
I don't know, well, you'll get to see these guys win, then you have Mrs. Nyer next.
No, we have it.
Lunch.
Oh, are you sticking around till after lunch then? Is that the, oh, so are you coming back to talk to him, or are you not talking to him?
I mean, I could, I don't know.
Wait, what kind of questions, do you wanna just talk to him now, cause there's an outside chance I could forego the rest of this math class for any questions they might have for, although if they don't have any, we'll just fire on.
This is a small class.
It is.
Yeah,
Well,
really small. We're the smallest in the school,
Smaller than preschool.
other than preschool.
We're smaller.
No,
No,
we're small,
we're
preschool's
smaller.
very good.
Each.
You guys have any questions?
Yeah.
Anybody have any questions?
But tell them your path to the service, like, why you picked it, give them a little background
Why are
as
you
to
So
your.
Josh Nyer is probably over there on that wall somewhere. I don't know,
Yeah,
maybe he got
sure.
erased. Actually, what's her name? Over there, I think that's 8th grade, right? The Guiney? The Guiney
Yeah.
girl?
Yeah, she has this.
Yeah, so her.
You wanna come,
she
you
has-
wanna, here, come up here and take the,
Yay!
She has 2 older sisters that went across here. One was in my class actually, like
oh, was
12
Brenna?
years ago. Yeah.
Brenna Ashland.
So that's Ashley. Ashley used to come in here with her mom as a little infant child, and now she's over there in 8th grade. So now I feel
Well, that's Delaney.
yes, because her middle sister joined the Marine Corps actually, believe it or not, which is what I was in.
How many women folk are in?
Lots actually. So there's lots of females that are in the Marines. Actually, one of the best Marines I had serve with me was a Marine or a female. Not Marine, female. There's 2 Marines actually right now down in Morris in the recruiting station that are females. That are pretty tough little ladies, but
Well, cause they have to pass the same.
there's certain physical standards that the females have to do. Not the same as the males, but it's similar. There's a lot of females that percentages are still very low, in comparison to males, but in the military in general. But there are a lot of females that do it.
Could you have bad eyesight and be in the?
No, can't have bad eyesight. You can't have asthma. You can't have mental disorders. There's a lot of things that disqualify you.
For what reason would that be?
Well, for reasons being, if you were in combat with someone that has depression or anxiety, that's only going to worsen those 2 conditions. So you don't want someone next to you with that kind of those problems, or someone that can't see or hear. Probably doesn't help you very much when you're getting attacked by other people. Guy next to you can't see.
Right, and if you happen to wear glasses, they can easily break.
You can there's if you're colorblind. I shouldn't say if you have bad eyesight you can't join. If you're completely blind you can't join. If you have bad eyesight you can wear glasses. If you're colorblind, there's certain things you can't do like drive vehicles. But you can have bad vision. It's not necessarily you can't join at all. There's just certain things you're not allowed to do. Yeah.
Do you know like all the requirements like that you need to meet to?
Each branch is a little bit different.
Okay.
You could do what my brother did, the Chair Force, the Air Force, whatever you want to call it. It's a little bit different than the Marine Corps. Marine Corps tends to be a little bit more physical than the other branches because Air Force, you're flying in planes. Navy, you're sitting on a ship. Army, you're doing nothing. But the Marine Corps, it's definitely more of a physical. So there are minimum.
You can tell there's a little competition between the branches of our.
Yeah, there's just a little bit. You can't really talk bad about the other one unless you've actually been in them. So, that's the. Marine Corps, you have to do 4 pull-ups. I'm not sure you guys do 4 pull-ups. 4 pull-ups, you have to run 1.5 miles to first join, and then you gotta do some sit-ups.
4 pull-ups.
That's the minimum. So you have to at least be able to do 4.
Really?
Yeah.
That sounds to me. I mean, that doesn't sound.
Doesn't sound like a lot, right?
It's not that bad.
No, but.
Now, once if you're competing for promotion, and advancements in your career, and you're only doing 4 pull-ups, it's not very good on you.
What on a personal level? What was the most pull-ups you ever did?
I was doing 25 to 30 in boots and utes, which is the boots and camis over there.
Which are not light.
Easy.
What you're saying. I mean. That's,
It's added extra weight. You're not in tennis shoes and short shorts. Yeah, so there's different pull-up programs that you can do to train. You can train your body to do anything. That's why I think people get scared of the military because they think they can't do it, but it's old little saying, it's 20% physical, so you're only using 20% of your body, but it's 80% mental. The toughest part for boot camp isn't the fact that people can't do it or it's super hard. It's the fact that kind of messes with your mind a little bit. Most of you guys probably haven't been away from your family, so I mean you're away from your family for 14 weeks, 13 weeks. That's probably the toughest part I'm thinking. So a lot of them just kind of break down. And that kind of causes their bodies to do certain different things. So that's why it kind of becomes difficult for them. But other than that, if you can just keep a straight head, it's a walk in the park. It really is.
How many people, when you first went to boot camp, how many people dropped out? from the
In our platoon, believe it or not, they do a really good job of filtering out people prior to boot camp.
Oh, before boot
That's
camp.
it's the military's job because once you get to boot camp at that point, the military's invested a lot of money into you, just for travel expenses alone.
So how do they filter you out before?
First step's a recruiter. Recruiter is the strainer, what you want to call it. There's all kinds of things he's got to check you for: tattoos, your background, criminal background, your education. There's so many things he's got to check you for, and to get past that, then you have to go to what they call MEPS, and MEPS is like your medical. It's like the military hospital where they check you out for everything. If you've had anything that would disqualify you from the Marine Corps, MEPS will catch it. And then at that point, if you somehow still manage to squeeze through or slip through the cracks for both those, and you end up in boot camp, I think we had 2 that dropped out in our boot camp. But there are people that get hurt. There are people that break their legs and they can't continue, so they have to leave. Crazy stuff does happen. Very rare though. It's very rare. I was fine. It was fine. If I can do it, y'all can do it. I was like 120 pounds, 125 pounds leaving boot camp. Wasn't very big. Wasn't much bigger than any of you guys.
I'm 110.
See?
So 10 pounds more than you, Parker.
10 pounds more than you. That's how much I weighed coming out of boot camp. Just a small little guy.
And now look at him.
I mean, I'm not a huge guy, but that was
I'm close to 120.
120?
I mean,
Oh, yes. Stop.
just a touch.
Stop.
Abram had a question over there. What was it?
Yeah, what's up, buddy?
What age did you join? Like,
So I joined right out. I should say that. I was a little bit older. 19. 19. Got out last year, almost a year now. So I did 4 years. 4 years and I got out. Yep.
what was the hardest part of boot camp for you?
The hardest part. The hardest part was probably just you're there by yourself. I was there by myself. I mean, you kind of make friends, which it's hard to because you're being told what to do, when to do it all the time. So the toughest part is probably just being there by yourself for 13 weeks. Especially if you get there the first day and you're like, I wanna quit. That next 13 weeks is a long 13 weeks. And 13 weeks from saying 13 weeks is completely different than actually going there and being there for 13 weeks. But like I said, that's the hardest part. The physical part, the running, the exercises, the training, all that stuff is.
So how much free time /
You get 0 free time in boot camp.
in boot camp?
In
You
boot
get
camp.
nothing.
In boot camp, you get nothing.
No socialization.
No, like I said, boot camp, it's just like any other club or organization that you join. So a lot of them, they'll have something you got to do to be able to join the club, right? It's kind of like the initiation phase. That's all the boot camp is basically turning you into a Marine. That's their job. So in order to do that, you got to go through a lot of different stuff. But after that, it's a 9 to 5 job, for the most part, unless you do infantry. You go to work, you come home, you live in a barracks, which is basically like a hotel with just Marines in it. You have a room. Usually you have 2 or 3 other guys in there with you, but I mean, you got a TV, you got a fridge, you got a microwave.
In other words, it's cake.
Yeah, it's just like it's not cake, but it's just like you guys are gonna go home tonight. You can play your PS4, your Xbox, hang out, whatever it is you guys do. Do the same thing. Do the same thing in the Marine Corps. Same thing in college. College, you're gonna go to class, then you're gonna go back to the dorm or wherever it is and hang out with your friends. Same thing in the Marine Corps. Same concept, except the Marine Corps will pay for your college. College isn't gonna pay for your college, so.
And where did you end up when you were in the Marines? what country?
So I was
you
in
were?
Virginia. I didn't get stationed overseas. I was here in the United States. So again, that's another perk. Sometimes you're not even gonna go overseas. Sometimes you get lucky and be stationed right here, 8 hours away from home, here in Virginia, which is, for those of you that don't know where that's at, it's right next to Washington D.C. You have the ocean right there. You have the mountains out there. So I was able to experience things for free travel and stuff like that, and with my wife, do a bunch of different stuff I probably would have never done.
Did you ever, did you train with, guns, or?
Yeah, you do it. Marine Corps, you will do that. You will do that a lot. You'll do it in boot camp. You'll do it throughout your Marine Corps career. There's different training exercises you have to do every year, every month. But I don't know how it is for the other branches.
Were you issued a weapon?
In boot camp, yes. You
Did
have a weapon. It's issued to you. It's a serial number. It's yours. You have to keep track of it. You sleep with it. You eat with it. You do
Do
everything.
you really take it till when you eat at the?
Yes. Yes, and there's times the last couple weeks when you're there, the last couple days, I mean, you're sleeping with it, it's in your sleeping bag. Yeah, I mean, it's not loaded at that point, but yes, it is with you, it is on you like glue. Yep, Yeah.
How do they use their?
are you in trouble? Oh, is that why you're in the, since you're in
In the middle seat?
the soul
Let's
death?
see.
Wait, has orthodox.
There's enough of them that
Hey.
can fit on the table, so that's not
How often would you use gun in boot camp?
There's 2 weeks that you do. 2 weeks, like I said, you have it with you. You march with it throughout boot camp for the full 13 weeks, but actually using it, it's 2 weeks. You go to the range for 1 week, you learn how to shoot, you learn all that stuff. So really like 2 weeks. 2 weeks you actually get to shoot the thing. Yes.
What was your role in the Marine Corps? Like what?
So my job was supply. So my job was to order weapons parts that broke, order vehicles that broke, order parts, order uniforms, order supplies. That was my job. Worked in an office, worked at a computer like that from 7:30 in the morning till 5 o'clock at night, and then repeat that every day. You get 30 days paid vacation. You get all government holidays off. So today you'd be getting off if you were in the Marine Corps. On active duty, you'd be getting off. You get all federal holidays off. And like I said, 30 days of leave a year. And you can stock that up to where you'll have like 90 days, 3 months. You get out 3 months early if you want to. Yeah.
And did you have to get your
You have to get a haircut if you're a male every week. Every week you have to get a haircut as a male. Females is a little different. Females, you can have your hair, if you wear your hair straight down, you can have it to your collar, which is like right here.
This is females.
This is females, right here. Or you have to have it in a bun. So you can keep your hair, you don't have to chop your hair off, but you do have to have it in a bun while you're at work.
But you get no choice on yours, they just shave.
In boot camp, they shave your head completely, yes. But once you're out of boot camp, there's certain standards. It's 0 to 3 inches on top is what you can have as a male. Gradual fade from 0, it has to be 0, but you can have it up to 3 inches on the top. So, like this is about as long as you can go. Yeah, that would be too long. You'd have to get it cut.
Yeah, Wade's would have been a touch too long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
what rank?
I got out as a sergeant in 4 years, so I went from private to PFC to lance corporal to sergeant. Picked up 5 ranks in the Marine Corps in 4 years, which is pretty good.
What kind of gun were you shooting?
You shoot the M16. M16 is your standard issue rifle. Been using it since Vietnam, actually. And those are the ones that we're still using.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing? Could we upgrade?
Well, with
I mean, are they
after
reliable? Are they
the 8
reliable?
years under Barack Obama, the military's funding was dramatically cut.
Okay.
So
We won't go into the politics about that, but you're saying there's probably better weapons out there that,
yes, absolutely. And the Marine Corps is probably, well, it isn't probably. It is the poorest branch in the military. Some of the things that we have to do on a daily basis just to get a standard mission done, like copy paper. Oh, people think I just go to the copier. We didn't even have money at certain points to buy paper for the copy machine. I mean, it got to points where we had to do a lot of different things that it's like, wow, it's sad.
are things better under President Trump?
That I can't confirm or deny that at this point because I wasn't in. I got out right when he was going in, so fortunately for me, I don't see the changes. But things were not the greatest when I was there.
Which doesn't probably help morale a little.
And believe it or not, Quantico is no, it doesn't. Quantico is actually one of the nicest Marine Corps bases, and it wasn't very nice. So Lejeune is not a fun place to be. It's just very underfunded. Marine Corps only got like 25% of its aircraft operational right now, which is pretty scary. But
Was your job in the Marine hard to?
no, wasn't hard. You go to boot camp, you do a little bit more training after that, and then you go to a school to learn how to do your job, just like this. You're a Marine, but you sit in a classroom, you learn how to do your job. Depending on your job is depending on how long the class is or how long you're there in the classroom. Mine was 30 days. So I had 30 days of classes, went to class, took some tests, and then I was sent on to do my job. So it's different for every job though.
How long can you stay in the Marines?
You can stay in as long as you want, as long as your body is
Capable.
still there to do that. Yeah.
Some people in that line still not there, they stay.
Yeah, oh, that's true too. Although now with the new retirement system, the incentive for 20 years is gone. Used to be you had to do 20 years to receive retirement. 20 years was mandatory. If you wanted to receive retirement, you had to do 20 years in the military. Now with the new retirement system, they call it a blended system. That incentive for 20 years is gone. You are now paying into that the first day that you get to boot camp. So now Marines that get out after 4 years will have at least a little bit of something to roll over into a 401k or some kind of retirement for their future. So now, I mean, if you're at 16 years and you think you have enough to retire and live happily the rest of your life, you can get out. So that, which is actually I think hurting the military because now, like I said, the incentive for 20 years is gone. You're gonna have a lot more turnover, which is more money that has to be spent. I think it was a crazy number, but I think the average number the government spends on you guys if you decide to join the military, it's like $25,000 from by the time you start from day one going to the recruiter to the time that you finish your job training and actually enter the fleet or operational forces, they call it. And that's for food, for medical, for transportation, for housing, everything like that. It's some crazy number how much the government spends on you. So that's why if you decide to quit or you do something bad in the military and they have to kick you out, that's why people get so mad. Yeah.
Did you make any like major friends in there?
Friends? Oh, I
Friends who are majors or major friends?
Like major friends?
yeah, I have buddies that I talk to now. Still over in Virginia. I have buddies that are overseas right now. I have buddies that got out before me. I have family that's overseas. You make all kind. You make friends in the military that you'll be friends with the rest of your life, hands down. Even if you never see them again.
Were these guys from boot camp or were they just?
Some are from boot camp. Some are from where I worked. Some are from when I went to school for my job. You meet guys throughout, for 4 years. And the Marine Corps is very small. Marine Corps is, I think they cut it down at 183,000 people in the Marine Corps, or Marines in the Marine Corps, which comparison to the Army is at like 500,000 to 1 million. And the Air Force and Navy, I'm actually unsure of. It's a lot more than the Marine Corps though. So think about 185,000 people. Here's a little math. 185,000 people. How many people are in the United States? Anybody know? It's like 600 million right now, I think. 700 million people. Yeah, it's got to be close to it. I think it's closer to 700 million people in just the United States alone, not the world, just the United States. So out of 187,000 people, I don't know, Mr. Hahn probably do that percentage real quick.
What's that? Oh,
187,000 out of 700 million. It's got to be like 2 or 3%. It's very small. See, he's gonna get the number for you. That's how many people are in the Marine Corps.
Wow.
Said 180,000.
Yeah, roughly. That's about where we're at. But it's rounded 700,000 or 700 million and 180,000.
Yeah, 2%.
Yeah, 2%. So that's 2% of the population that joined the Marine Corps. 2%. And actually, it's less than. It's a little bit less than. But 2% in general joined the military. So if you want to be part of that group, part of that 2%, then make sure that you guys get to do what you're doing now. You want to get your school paid for it? Yeah,
How many jobs is there?
lots. There is any kind of job you can possibly think of.
picking them up.
Any job that you can see yourself doing right now, or when you get older, here in this in the civilian world, teacher, whatever it is, there's those jobs in the military. Absolutely. Anything you can think of. Yup.
For dogs.
Yup. There's police dogs in the military. MPs use police dogs all the time. Someone's got to take care of those dogs. Absolutely. There's jobs for everything. Yup.
If you were to like go back, would you change your MOS or keep it?
Actually, I don't think I would. A lot of people probably would. A lot of guys that join infantry would be like, no, I would never do that again. My job, I wouldn't say enjoyed it, but it wasn't. I couldn't complain about it. It was good.
Do you ever have to like fight people?
Nope. Stationed, like I said, I was stationed here in the United States the whole time. Lucky for me, I was born at the right time, so I joined in 2013, and the United States at that time wasn't actually doing anything. Special forces were, but I was here in the United States the whole time.
Was the food good?
No, food is bad. Food's like Mr. Han making a really bad piece of meatloaf
That
and
would be it.
lumpy mashed potatoes. That's the food. Although in boot camp you're hungry so much it doesn't really matter. And then when you get out of boot camp it's free. So it's either free or buy your own food. So
Eat the garbage or pay for food.
yeah. Hey, I wouldn't say it's bad all the time. It's very healthy oriented. So obviously you don't want a bunch of fat
Not a
people.
lot of cinnamon rolls.
Yeah, no cinnamon rolls or brownies or cookies, but it's free. Yeah.
What age did you decide you wanted to join the Marines?
High school.
19.
I know, I got trapped.
I nabbed him. I said, if you're not gonna talk to him later, I'll talk to him now.
I was gonna ask you, would you mind showing the 8th graders the last poll, see if there would be any interest sometime today?
Wait, is there a video?
Yeah, just on YouTube.
Or you want me to Google
Yeah,
elastic
just
ball?
say if you'd be interested in something like this, if you wouldn't mind.
You don't have a specific one that you've looked at already that's good before they
The first one that comes up on YouTube is probably the one
I didn't know what I wanted to do in high school. Is a very different time. I had no intentions of wanting to go to college. No intentions of trying to get a job after